Welcome back to the Pause and Effect podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Cara, and this is part 2. In part 1, I spoke to Carolyn from KZN Valley Dogs about the origin of KZN Valley Dogs and some of the challenges faced. Welcome back.
Hi.
Carolyn, I wanted us to talk about some of the true challenges, and that is the sustainability of what you're doing. I have to be honest with you. I don't know how you do it.
No.
That commitment, whether it is raining, it is incredibly hot outside, it is freezing cold, whether you're sick with flu, you are there every Sunday. And that takes huge commitment. How do you do it?
It's difficult sometimes, because if Sunday falls on Christmas Day, then we go down on Christmas Day.
Wow.
If it falls on Mother's Day, it is what it is. And the community don't really understand if we but it's Mother's Day or it's New Year's Day with a hangover. It doesn't matter. It is. I think everyone's just very dedicated, and we're very lucky. We've had volunteers come and go, and the ones that are still there now are the ones that have been there from the beginning, basically. Maybe one or two that came in a bit later, but they've still been there for a number of years. And we're just very, very lucky. And I don't know what would happen if any of the key people, couldn't do it anymore. We would have a big problem. I try not to think about that.
Yep.
It is obviously something we need to think about.
Take me through, for example, obviously that means Saturday nights you're not out socializing.
So on a Friday night.
Let's start where.
So during the week,
yes,
I do little bits of prep.
Okay, but you have a full-time job.
Yes. I do a little bit of prep. I make sure that I've got everything I need. Cat food's always the nightmare because it's so expensive, so we try and hustle and that to get cat food in during the week. And then Friday night, we cook rice. I cook 20 kilos every Friday, and Teresa cooks 10. And also cook some. And then what I do is I freeze that or put it in the fridge because obviously rice doesn't last forever. And that gets put into buckets, so that gets added to the food near the end of the journey so that we've still got food. And then we do the same with the meat. The meat we cook on the Saturday. Some is for the pot, some is for the buckets. The buckets get added along the journey. The pot is what we start with. And I cook for 3 routes. I cook for my route, Mark's route, and Teresa's route. She has also started cooking some bone meal, but it's difficult to transport. So she picks up the colt at Anne's workshop on a Sunday. So she can't really be driving around with a huge big thing of bone meal. Because it's not very nice if it slops into your... So that's sort of, and then the whole of Saturdays, because we cook it in batches. None of the pots are big enough to cook it all. So it takes a couple of hours to cook each pot.
This is true commitment. This is week in, week out.
Yeah.
So
if we go away, if we have a wedding or something,
yes,
that is like a nightmare because then I've got to try and rope people in and get someone to drive. And the vehicles are all very special in that if you're not used to driving them, it can be quite a challenge, especially in the terrain that we're driving in. I mean, we always joke it's the Vito that I drive. Was definitely not designed for that. Mercedes would die if they saw what I put that car through every week.
Be a good ad for them.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I should put a GoPro. But so it is difficult. It is. We do have a couple of people that we can call on they don't come every week, but when we need them, they're there. So we are very lucky with that. But it's a big.
So what time does your Sunday morning start?
5:00.
Okay.
And I get back at around, depending on whether I have to go to the vets or not, around about 2.
Okay, so say you need to go to the vets. I mean, what does that mean?
If I've got to take an animal in, or one of the others have taken an animal in, then I need to go there and just see what's going on and sort that out. But then it's also get home, and now you've got all these bowls and pots, and so they need to be, vehicles
washed
need to be
and
unpacked.
cleaned.
Yeah. So it's a whole, it's a whole life, actually.
It is. I mean, this is a true dedication. And what inspires you to do this?
someone's got to do it. We started it. It's like they say, if you tame an animal, you're responsible for it. And I just feel like we started this. How do you not go down? How, I always just visualize these people standing.
Waiting.
And even the dogs, some of the dogs bring themselves. They don't come with owners. We just pull in and these dogs just appear. And I just visualize them like not knowing what's going on and being confused.
No one arriving.
No.
And do they know it's a Sunday? Can
They
tell
must
a
do,
day?
because when I go down during the week, there's no dogs to be seen.
So when you go down to sort of check. And
when
see
I go
what's
down
going
maybe to take a dog home from the vet or fetch one, because obviously if there's an emergency during the week, we have to respond to it, and take animals that have recovered home again and stuff like that. And they'll see you and they'll just like give you like a look. Half of them don't even know where they are, but on a Sunday, they are waiting. So I'm convinced they can tell the days of the week. They know. They know it's Sunday.
I love it.
Absolutely know.
So have you had moments where you've gone, I'm not sure I can continue? Like ultimately, I know you deal with some pretty tough cases.
Sometimes I just think, why do you put yourself through this? And it can take strain on the family too, because the kids get across, like I don't see my baby grandson as often as I should, because our weekends are. So I see my one because he lives down the road, but the other one lives in both the schools. So that takes its toll. Family.
And in terms of a marriage?
Well, Mark drives the other vehicle.
That helps. You're both as crazy. No, it's wonderful.
So it is difficult, but I think my family they understand.
And they're very involved, aren't they?
Yes. And they know that I'm committed to this. I don't believe if you're going to do something, you must do it properly. And Ant as well. I mean, he also, it's a big sacrifice for him as well with regards to his riding. His daughter's in Cape Town. I'm sure he would love to spend the odd weekend in Cape Town. He does have also people that will fill in for him, but for all of us, every single one of us that's involved. Teresa, she's, it is. Salome, she's got her own sanctuary at home as well. She takes care of elderly dogs. So it is. And sometimes when you're dealing with, especially when it's an animal that you've been feeding for a long time and you've become really attached to, and then it's either old age or something happens, it's devastating.
How do you cope with that?
I think in the beginning, I used to get very upset. I think I've sort of managed to teach myself that it's part of it goes with the territory. Rather, we were there to help, even if it is to put it down, then this dog would have been suffering, the same thing would have happened, to it. It's difficult. And sometimes I think, like, I didn't really feel anything about that. I should be feeling more upset. So I think you also tend to almost block yourself from
feeling.
And then some small thing will happen and then you're devastated.
Absolutely. So it's not dealing with the
obviously
the
we
trauma at
all
the
have our
time.
favorites. So when I get a call from one of the favorites, I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
So,
And I know that there are particular cases that just get into your heart, and when we see them at the practice.
Yes. Well, the vets are even, yay,
so-and-so's
so-and-so's
back.
I'm so excited. It's going to cost us another lot of money. And they're like,
we get fond of them too,
exactly.
because we form a relationship with them when they're at the practice. So,
and some of them you've been treating for 6-7 years.
We follow their journey. But obviously, you're very close to it and close to the owners and the way in which they sort of having to
and I
cope.
think it also helps, though, with having the relationships that I particularly have with the vets as well, because they know what my sort of ethos is, and they understand where I'm coming from, and I try not to put too much expectation on them, because it is
and it's come a long way.
Save them all.
It wasn't when we first started helping, there were some teething issues in terms of sort of managing expectations, and
you learn a lot.
we have
it's a whole different situation now than it was. And I mean, there's still a few vets that were there right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Peter, Chantal.
Yeah. And I think, as vets, we are really grateful that we get the opportunity to contribute in a small way. It's nothing like you guys are doing as a lifelong commitment to getting up and slogging and like you say, even putting your family and your social life aside in order to dedicate yourself to the cause. So well done.
Thank you.
You do something really exceptional. You should be really proud of that.
I am, but thank you also for what you do for us, because we couldn't do it. We couldn't do a lot of what we do without help and people like you guys. So
I'm delighted to be able to help
Thank
you.
you.
And I think, we've got such a good working relationship,
Yes.
and I think, such a respectful one between Valley Dogs and our practice.
Yes.
So it's been a privilege. It really has been.
thank you.
Let's talk about the special cases. Who are the special ones? Give us an example of some of the cases that you've helped.
Okay, let's talk about Talkative.
Okay, yes.
So Talkative is a female Afrikaner who was one of the first dogs that we ever fed, and we still feed her now. Talkative has cost probably more than a purebred Pyrenean mountain dog in terms of vet bills. She got herself attacked and had major surgery, had to have her ear removed. She got, I don't know what she did the one time. I don't know if she got caught on barbed wire or whatever, but she was operated on. She's been through the mill 100 times. She's about 9 years old, but she is still the happiest. She will run to the top to say hello to us, but we're not the vehicle that feeds her anymore. But we used to feed her. So she'll run. She used to jump into the car, and then we used to drop her back off by her feeding spot. So she's very dear to everybody. And then I don't know if you remember Patch.
I do.
Patch was very special. He was still back in the day of Dr. Cairns. And he, obviously, we lost him just over a year ago. But I mean, we dealt with all sorts of issues with him. And then Comet, famous Comet, the
Comet's
greyhound.
Beautiful.
I know.
Oh, some of these dogs.
I was just so happy because we managed to home his one puppy with sister cat. Yes. So that was a big bonus. And that was part and parcel of saying to the owners, we've helped you with Comet so many times, and now can we home one of the puppies? Because, these are greyhounds, and just one out to me is a big victory.
Yes.
And that's how...
And that puppy
Max
is living an incredible life.
I know, and he's so naughty. Mark was telling me the other day he's eaten the blinds.
I know.
So
keeping them busy.
And then we've had, I don't know if you remember, Max got bitten by the puff adder. It was quite
recent?
No, it was quite a few years ago. She was quite an old dog then. So we've had that, and she was at the vet for quite. And then, of course, our paralysis dogs.
And now, a word from our amazing sponsors who make the Pause and Effect podcast possible. To make a promise implies trust. To make a pledge creates expectation. And to make a commitment initiates responsibility. For more than 25 years, we have made it our mission to take the ifs, buts, and maybes out of premium pet food. That's why our experts put the best science behind our food, so your pet's health is put first. That's why, when you seek value, we strive to give you more, like protecting your pets with our free accident benefits. And when you need great tasting food, our fresh meat taste delivers. You see, what sets us apart is not one thing, it's all these things combined. Because we understand that when it comes to your pet's health, you don't want doubt and uncertainty. You want absolutes, the absolute best given your means, like premium veterinary quality food of real value that doesn't cost an arm and a paw. So rest assured that any claim we make, we stand by. It's our commitment to your pets and our promise to you. In fact, we're so confident in what we stand for that we have made the ultimate promise to you. It's called the Ultra Pet Promise, 100% money-back guarantee, A no ifs, no buts, and no maybes kind of promise. We call it our satisfaction guarantee. Welcome back to Just for Pets. You're with Dr. Cara.
Hi, Doc. It's Justin the Jack Rossi here, and boy am I itchy.
Are you on a hypoallergenic diet?
Hyper what now?
Changing to a special diet will really help. And Just for Pets have a massive range. And flea and tick medication, special shampoo.
Ooh, how quick can I get some?
Order today and we'll deliver pronto.
I feel better already.
Justforpets.co.za. Vet approved, pet adored. Get it all to your door.
Let's get back to our conversation on the Pause and Effect podcast. So you deal with a lot, from trauma hit by cars to lacerations to fight wounds to a lot of TBTs.
I actually almost feel like I'm a vet now.
Are you? Sorry, I know what that is. That's a snake bite.
And
Seen it
she'll
all.
tell me, what have we got? And I think it's this, and she'll like say, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So I learned words I never even knew existed, like ilagia and
Yes.
all of these things. So, yeah, unfortunately, those are avoidable things, the tick-borne diseases, and we see so much of it. But being in a rural area where there's so much forest and cows and goats, the ticks are a huge problem.
I know it's been a bit better now that it's been winter,
Yeah.
but I'm sure you're bracing yourself
That is something I really wish we could get
under control.
Yeah, because we would be able to save a lot of expense and a lot of lives.
Well, if anyone wants to donate to any
please.
tick or flea
Yes,
stuff,
we'll give you as much
publicity.
props as you want. Yeah,
Absolutely. No, our funding is the
Yeah.
the only way that you can continue to improve the care
100%.
for these animals. So.
and of course, as like now with Anne starting to feed in Shongweni, when he first started, it's been a few months now. He's already doubled his consumption in food, so the word is spreading. So he's getting more and more, and ours just grows and grows. We have more dogs and more people, so the food is a huge.
Yeah. So
Because
donations
that is
of
what
food
we
and-
started as was a feeding scheme.
Yes.
Like, we got a bit distracted along the way, but that is still our
It's your fundamental.
is to assist the people in feeding them. Because if you can't afford to feed yourself, you know, and you've got your last 10 rand, it's going to go on a loaf of bread. It's not going to go on dog food, and we understand that. And then people say, oh well, they shouldn't have dogs, but why should what would you call it, the
Less privilege.
the privilege of having a pet only apply to, like I said, for some of those people, it's their companions. So we don't feel that that's fair,
And then it's education to say, look, in
Exactly.
order to avoid now having to
Yes.
rehome puppies, you're
Yes.
making a difference in
Yes.
terms of the
Exactly.
small wins
Yeah.
as you can.
And we try not to get involved too much in rehoming. We only, if people ask us if they want to surrender their animals, we will never say no, because what could happen if you don't take them. But we try to avoid that. We try to say, no, why don't we rather sterilize it for you? We'll help you with some food, and so we try and avoid the rehoming. Cause
It's not practical to take on everything.
And there's too
have
many
clear
puppies and dogs
boundaries.
looking for homes, and,
Yeah.
and cats, and that's just a whole different nightmare.
Yeah. And do you work with other rescue organizations?
We do, if sometimes with like sharing resources, but because a lot of the other rescue orgs are more involved with homing and rehoming and that. Obviously, if we can help them by sharing their posts and things like that, we do, but not hugely. Purely because we do such different things. If somebody phones us looking for a puppy, we'll always encourage them to go through Jade or somebody that that's what they do, and that's their sort of
Domain.
thing. Yeah. And I take my hat off to what they do, but it's not.
There
for
are
me.
limits.
Yeah.
And so in terms of how can people help? I mean, I know in terms of business ownership and doing these things, even sharing a post is helping.
Yes,
isn't it?
definitely.
And because even if you're not in a position to,
Yeah,
to help,
100%.
someone might see it
And people
help.
often say, oh, well, I can only give you one bag of food, but you're only one bag of food and somebody else is only one bag of food. You know, it makes a difference. The smallest one tin makes a difference.
10 rand.
Yes, exactly.
Like many 10 rands
Yes.
make.
So we are always looking for food, donations for food and medical stuff, the vet's account. That's our main, and people can either donate straight into the vet account. That's what we encourage if that is what they're inclined. Some people prefer to do that because
They know it's going to
yes, and I prefer that.
Yep.
And I'm also happy for people if they want to purchase the food themselves. We do on our Facebook page have our bank account there. If people want to put money straight into that, we are an open book. So
You're very transparent
yeah.
about how you
Yeah.
spend that money. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
we always welcome volunteers.
I was going to say volunteers.
Yes, always welcome
as
volunteers.
students,
We love,
matric
we love
students,
it when kids come
kids
with
get
us,
involved.
yeah.
And obviously, you're very careful in terms of
Yes,
safety aspect
yes.
as to what they can help with. But
We
even
have,
assisting with feeding. Hey,
We had a young he's grade 9 at Thomas More. He comes with us quite often. And then his family came out from the UK, so he brought them with. I think it was a huge eye-opener for them.
Yes.
But yeah, we really love for people just to come and see and experience it. We had the Robin Hood Foundation are another group that have helped us. They do food drives for every now and then. Well, they've been giving us food for a few months. They did I think it was 6 months of helping out with animals. So we were one of the beneficiaries of that. That comes to an end now, though. But they came down with us. And it was nice for them to see what was happening with the donations that they gave us, And also, obviously, sometimes we also welcome, like now it's winter, the kids and the elderly, are always grateful for anything that...
So even helping the community
Yeah.
as a whole. So I mean, you appeal every now and again
Yeah.
for secondhand baby clothes
Yes,
or
yes.
blankets.
Yeah.
Just small.
We gave out beanies and
gestures.
scarves last weekend, and the children, you would the gratitude is so genuine, and it's just so what our kids take for granted.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I'm going to be bringing my son
Yeah.
on a little valley trip.
It's like when you think about like hunger, we've never been at the point where we're so hungry that we would do anything, and that's what it is like for those dogs and some of the people. It's a poor community, so
Yeah. It's truly a poor
Yeah.
community. And I think that's
and it's
some
very
of the
rural.
misconception.
It's a very it's like typical old school rural farming. It's it's quite inspiring when you go down there and you see how they make do with what they've got and how they get on with it.
And they're quite resourceful.
Yeah, very resourceful.
And I think definitely the quality of care in terms of the way we're seeing from a lot of your initiatives has really helped
Yeah.
the quality of life for those dogs. I mean,
mean,
when we see patients now, they're like you say, they're not like they
Yeah.
used to be all
I
mangy.
know,
and-
and some of them are actually a little bit fat. Sometimes I have the vet say, "Oh, this little bit of a fatty here." I'm like,
Oh dear.
yeah.
Well, that's great. We would much rather
but
that
it
way.
is. It's so rewarding to look back at photos and see how far they've come. And also, where we had this one dog. His name's Gaddafi. And he was the mangiest, most aggressive, horrible. He was like a proper mean street dog. Everyone was scared of him. He used to throw his food down and run. And he bit everyone. Everyone got bitten. The
From
kids
fear biting.
Yeah, he
Or
was just
grumpy?
miserable. He was so mangy, so he was in pain. And the Bucky kids were terrified. They wouldn't get off the Bucky to feed him. And then we spoke to the owner. We said we'd like to sterilize him. We were having a sterilization drive. So we managed to get someone to help us, one of the locals down there, to get this dog into a cage and get him to the hall where we were doing the sterilization. It was the SPCA. And they sedated him in the crate. As soon as he came around, he was trying to attack anyone around him. They treated him for the mange. They gave us medication. We continued with his treatment. and his whole demeanor changed.
Possibly hormonal, high
Yes,
testosterone
he was
and
just like,
discomfort.
he was just so miserable and so angry. And as his mange went
up.
away, and
He was castrated.
He's still feeding him. He must be about 9 years old, and he's now everyone loves him, but no one's forgotten.
Like, we
what he
remember
used to
you.
do. So that is so rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas he used to stand back and be all nervous. Now he runs and
Oh, that's
he
really
all,
great.
jumps up, and also what's so nice is where they used to come and they just wanted the food. Now they'll come and greet you, jump on you, get a love, and then go.
Because they know it's going to come.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
a resource that's
And
going
they're
to be
also
taken.
loving the attention now. And I think that's what's made such a difference with the children and the way the children deal with their dogs. You now see them patting their dogs and sitting with their arms around their dogs and carrying their puppies nicely. And
It's so special.
yeah, it's a totally different,
Love that.
So that's why I think we carry on doing what we do.
And looking into the future, what would you like? And ideally, obviously, more funding would be top of the list. But what are you hoping for?
I wish there's another area that we would love to go into, the Mulwani side of it, because they're really struggling. But I think I would just like to see us be able to tick on and not struggle every month and stress for food and stress for funds. That would be what I would, because it's very stressful.
I can imagine.
And Ant and I stress like every day. It's because the onus is on the two of us to make sure that there's enough food. The volunteers will be like, we're running short of food, we need an extra bag of food. And we're like, where would you like us to get that from? But we understand where they're coming from, because it's horrible when you get to the end and you're short of food now. And these dogs have been waiting for you. Some of them walk 5 or 10 Ks.
Wow.
And they wait for hours. Because we can never say we'll be there exactly this time, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you come across cases that need your attention.
There's an emergency or whatever, so sometimes we get there a bit late. I mean, we've got kids that we know because the other cars go past them. They wait 3 hours, and they just wait because they know we're coming.
Oh, can you imagine if you don't turn up?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it'd be devastating.
So by the time we get there, the dogs are so excited, and then to not have enough food, is heartbreaking.
And do you have that? Do you get to the end of your journey and you're like scraping the bowl?
Yeah, where we make these 5-litre things of gravy and 5-litre water, and we sort of stretch it like that. But I mean, that's not ideal,
So definitely more funding, more contributions, small contributions are appreciated. People can, even it doesn't cost anything to share a post.
No, share, absolutely. Because you just might get that one person.
So following you, what is the name on Facebook? And
it's just KZN Valley Dogs.
KZN Valley Dogs. And how many, you got a lot of followers, a lot of people
we've got about 6,000 and something.
Okay, so it's growing that following base.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we really appreciate the likes and the comments, and input. People are welcome to ask us anything they want to.
Yeah, there's full transparency. That's what I like about your organisation.
They're welcome to. We say if they're welcome to contact Tilker's Vets if they want to find out
verify
what we actually spend there.
Yes.
And they're welcome to come with us. They're welcome to look at anything. It's.
So you plan to be doing this for as long as you physically can.
Physically able.
And then
sometimes I feel like that won't be very long. That I know. I mean, I know Ant and I need to put some sort of a plan into place for the future, but
you'll do that when you need to. Until then, you.
But right now,
keep
it's
going.
Just like
Well done for what you've done.
Thank you.
It's a major accomplishment.
Thank you. I don't think 8 years ago we ever thought we'd be to this point.
Yeah. And I think it's great that you take the opportunity to let people know about what you do and how important it is to you, and to try and discuss some of the misconceptions around the organisation.
100%.
Because I think it's very easy to make assumptions rather than understand it.
Got the keyboard warriors.
And you're not going to get away from that.
It is what it is. I don't let myself get
No, you can't. I'm
I'll
sure
just
you've learned from
answer
that
them and
and explain.
smile and wave.
Well done.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for what you do for the
And
community.
thank you for this
and,
opportunity.
No, and hopefully you'll be contacted by people who
I hope so.
assist you. We will continue to support you as
Thank
much as
you
we
very
can.
much.
We have an exciting announcement to make. We are looking for guest speakers who are passionate about the pet industry and sponsors to support future episodes. Are you an expert in pet training, nutrition, or behavior? Maybe you're a veterinarian with insights to share, a pet store owner with unique experiences, or a pet product inventor. We want to hear from you. The Pause and Effect podcast is a platform for industry professionals like you to showcase your knowledge, experiences, and stories. As a guest speaker on our podcast, you'll have the opportunity to share valuable information, engage with our audience, and have your voice heard in the pet community. Whether you want to discuss training techniques, emerging pet care trends, or the importance of mental stimulation for pets, we want to feature you and your expertise. So, if you're passionate about pets and have something to say, we invite you to join us on an upcoming episode of the Pause and Effect podcast. But wait, that's not all. The Pause and Effect podcast is also seeking sponsors to support our mission of educating and entertaining pet lovers worldwide. By becoming a sponsor, you'll gain exposure to our engaged audience and have your brand associated with the love and care that we have for our four-legged friends. If you own a pet-related business, offer pet products or services, or simply want to align your brand with our pet-loving community, we'd love to partner with you. As a sponsor, your brand will be featured prominently in our episodes and our social media channels. It is a great opportunity to showcase your offerings to a dedicated audience of pet enthusiasts. So whether you're an expert in the pet industry looking to share your knowledge, or a business seeking to reach a pet-loving audience, we want to hear from you. To apply as a guest or to inquire about becoming a sponsor of the Pause and Effect podcast, please contact me at drkara@pauseandeffect.co.za. Get in touch and let's discuss the various opportunities. Thank you for joining us today. We can't wait to welcome our future guest speakers and sponsors to the Pause and Effect podcast. Remember, every episode is an opportunity to celebrate our four-legged friends.